The New York Knicks have won 3 straight games after a disaster in LA, losing back-to-back to the Clippers and the Lakers. Lakers then the Clippers, but back-to-back games in LA. Matchups, I was like, what's going on with the Knicks? These are teams they should beat. Well, they're playing now teams that they have to beat. I say this because not only is the East tightening up, the Knicks are in a race for that second seed, which they're just behind right now, but they're playing teams under 500. 3 straight wins against the Jazz, the Pacers, and now the Warriors last night on NBC. They haven't been pretty. They have not been pretty games at all, but the Knicks have done what they've needed to do to get the victory. We're going to talk about here just how they've done so, what's been good, what's been bad from the team. As you know, again, this is the dog days in March of the season, but the Knicks, they have to win these games. They have a stretch, I believe, 4 more games still to come against teams under 500. The next game is against the Pacers tomorrow night. The Pacers always give the Knicks some sort of trouble. The Knicks got to find a way to win all of these games. You have to go on a streak right here, and you'll see how you play out in the playoffs. But I want to talk about these last 3 games, what I've liked, what I haven't liked. But before I do, make sure you like this video. Comment below what your thought about the Knicks right now, how you're feeling going into the playoffs, or as the regular season ends, And of course, subscribe to Backman Sports. All right, the Knicks, 3 straight wins. Jazz, Pacers, and Warriors. They've all been close games. Games that Knicks fans, including myself, are saying, why can't we just put these teams away? The Jazz were up, what were they up? 18, 19 points in the first quarter. Granted, the Jazz went 10 for 12 from 3 in the first quarter, but the Knicks were always playing catch-up against them. The Pacers, the Knicks actually built a nice lead. They had a 15-point lead, I believe, early in the third quarter. If I remember, I know they had a 10-point lead going into halftime. I think they built it up a little bit. And then the Pacers come all the way back. They take the lead. Jordan Clarkson hits a 3 right before the third quarter buzzer. Knicks are able to, scratch and claw their way to a win in Indiana. And then last night against the Warriors, Warriors are up 22 points against the Knicks in the first half. Knicks, of course, are able to claw back and get a victory, win by 3, 110 to 107. All right, let's talk about, should we start with the good or should we start with the bad? Let's start with the good. I want to be on a positive note this Monday morning. Let's start with the good. Jordan Clarkson has been back in the lineup, and he's been great. Clarkson came back against the Jazz, a return game against the Jazz, and had 27 points, I believe. Clarkson had off the bench. Let me make sure that's the case. But he's come back into the bench, off the bench, to be an offensive weapon. Exactly what he should have been the entire season. Obviously, when the Knicks were going through their struggles in that 2-9 stretch, they couldn't play defense. That was the biggest thing for this Knicks team. It was like, where is the defense for the Knicks? And Clarkson has never been known for his defense. Jordan Clarkson is known as a bucket getter, a certified bucket getter. He's going to get you anything you need, at least on the offensive end. So Mike Brown had to bench him because defensively he wasn't getting it done. But you can't blame him because that's who we all know Jordan Clarkson to be. You can't expect him to be something he's never been in his career. Clarkson did have 27 in his return to Utah. Clarkson has come in when the offense is needed to spark. He did so in LA. He did so and got the Knicks close against the Lakers. He played an okay game against the Clippers, and then his return to Utah, 27 points, really ignited this offense. An offense that felt like it was stagnant for a long time. And that's the weird thing about this Knicks team right now. The offense feels a little stagnant, especially in half court. We'll talk about that as well in a second. But Clarkson's been doing his duty, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I did say when Clarkson got benched, we're going to need him by the end of the season. Clarkson has to be ready, which he has. He's a professional bucket getter, really. But he had to stay ready because the Knicks are going to go to him at points when the offense is not clicking. And these last 3 games have been perfect for Jordan Clarkson. You got to give him the most props for being ready to come off the bench and delivering. All right, let's move on to the star of the New York Knicks. That's Jalen Brunson. Brunson's been playing better. Brunson went through a little shooting streak, slump. A little shooting slump that really peaked in the games against the Lakers and the Clippers. On that LA trip. Granted, nobody shot well for the Knicks, but Jalen Brunson did not either. Well, in these last 3 games, Brunson has gone 28 points, 29 points, and now 30 points against the Warriors last night. Granted, it's not the Brunson that's playing A-plus basketball that we've seen drop 40 in the playoffs, but that's okay. Brunson's slowly getting back to that level of there's no better guard in the East. Like, Brunson right now isn't automatic from 3. Still trying to find the range right now. It's okay. Let him find that come playoff time. We need him to be his hottest when it comes to playoff time. But right now, he's distributing the ball well. He's scoring the ball well. And it feels like, okay, when the jumper's not able to go for him, he's getting to the middle of the lane, nice little floater. I mean, I think back to the Clippers game, they were down 15, and Brunson goes on a 6-0 run. Mo Diawara had a 2-pointer before, so it was an 8-0 combined run, but 6-0 run, Brunson himself, and went 3 straight floaters. Like, when the shot isn't falling, Brunson can still get to the rim, get to the, paint, throw up a floater. It's still money. All right, let's talk about the second star of the Knicks. That's Karl-Anthony Towns. Cat has been playing really well. I know the stats aren't going to say 40 points or 30, but Cat is playing really well. I think his season really began when the trade deadline ended. Obviously, the Giannis rumors were everywhere. Cat was going to be a major piece if that were to happen. I never thought it was going to happen, but if it were at the trade deadline, Cat would be involved. Karl-Anthony Towns, when the trade deadline passed and when the Knicks got Jose Alvarado, GTA, his season has taken off. It feels like Alvarado has come into New York and his sole purpose on offense is running a pick and roll and finding Cat. Because Cat and JB run a pick and roll, but Jalen Brunson is such a gifted and prolific scorer. He's half the time, honestly, maybe 3/4 of the time, he's looking for his own shot, and sometimes Cat gets neglected, on a roll or a pop. Seems like Alvarado, when he comes off this screen, he's literally keeping the defender on his back, but also having his head turned to see where Cat is, because he's looking to get Cat the ball instead of him scoring. And then sometimes when the defense is like, oh, we got to cover Cat, that's when Alvarado will get to the rim and finish it. It feels like Cat is getting back into form. With the second unit, I'm loving the way Cat has played aggressive. In the post, he's finishing around the basket better, and he's hitting some shots from the outside. At the end of the day, hey, as long as Cat is the second best player on this team and playing well, the Knicks have a very good shot. Finally, best performance, OG Anunoby when the Knicks were unhealthy. Against that Pacers team, no Cat, no Josh Hart. OG Anunoby said, I'll be the second best player on this team, and was aggressive. Had a monster dunk in the game. Had, how many points did OG? I know he had like 16 in the first half. But OG's been aggressive when guys haven't been in. And it feels like OG, during the stretch where the Knicks have been playing better basketball as of recently, OG has been aggressive. He's looked for that three-point shot. He's looked to drive to the paint. And it's like, yes, that's the OG Anunoby that we need. We don't need a passive OG that gets about 7 shots and just plays defense. Granted, I love the defense from OG. I always will love the defense. But also, when he provides scoring, when other guys, like I'll talk about Mikal Bridges in just a second, aren't able to provide that. Landry Shamet, who's been in a little bit of a, streak, nothing crazy, but not to Landry Shamet's standards. OG helps bail the team out, had 25 against the Pacers, another good performance against the Pacers. Mitchell Robinson, 22 boards, That was when Cat was absent, so Mitch was the big guy. There we go. That's the good. That's the good for the Knicks over the last 3 games. Let's talk about the bad. To start off, let's talk about what Mike Brown came into his post-game press conference yesterday and said was awful. That's the start. The Knicks cannot start a game with a lead. It's unbelievable. If you're a Knicks fan, you understand it. But if you haven't watched this Knicks team regularly, it blows your mind. The starting 5, statistically, hasn't gotten anything for the last 2 years. They're like an even team. So it's like, if the team is on to start the game, the Knicks are down. If the Knicks are on, okay, maybe they'll keep it close. But this Knicks team will not stop starting games poorly. You saw it against Utah. You saw it against, as much so against the Pacers, but the Pacers still stayed in there for a team that's, the second worst team in the Eastern Conference. And then, of course, you saw it against the Warriors. This Knicks team is always the first of the 2 teams to call a timeout. It's unbelievable. Mike Brown puts in substitutions, and then you're playing from behind. I don't understand what it's going to take for this Knicks team to be ready to play. Mike Brown said it. We can't keep going into games down 10 by the 6-minute mark of the first quarter. We just can't. And against better teams, obviously, they're not going to give you as many chances to get back in the game. I will say this. The Knicks did this last year too. Like, it feels like they play down to the level of competition, which is a number 2 point. Like, Jazz, Pacers, Warriors, you don't have a single blowout game or a comfortable game in any of 3 of those. The Knicks, to a degree, have played down to their opponent's level. These 3 games, all season, all last year. I don't know if it helps them in the playoffs because they know they're in close games and they just feel, okay, we've been here before. Granted, they're going to be playing a lot better competition when it comes to playoff time, right? But they do play in a lot of close games. I guess that's a glass half full type of mentality out of it all. But it's like, you play down to your competition, you start games off awful. Really, there's no other way to put it. Awful. Seems like it's bad habits building at the wrong time. Mike Brown was adamant. He's like, one, we get no defense player of the game against the Warriors because our defense was trash. And two, we got to stop starting bad. And I don't know if it's changing the starting lineup, which we'll talk about one key guy in the starting lineup in just a second, or doing what. But I don't know how Mike Brown is going to be able to try and do this because it feels like part of its effort felt like that first half against the Warriors last night. The Knicks had no effort. Then third quarter, they're like, okay, we'll turn up. And it's, as a Knicks fan, it feels a little funny because it's like, okay, just cut it in single digits by halftime, and we're going to win this game. Like, as a Knicks fan, you know, hey, it wasn't one of those games where they were missing everything. Like, they have certain games where they're just atrocious from three. And granted, they weren't good from three at all. But it felt like they're going to get stops at some point, and they're going to hit shots. They're at the Garden. They're going to get back in this and win it. You just got to cut it to single digits going into half. They did so. They keep it around 4. They come out, and they look like the Knicks to start the second half. Then they're able to win the game. Not able to pull away, but they're able to win a game. All right, let's talk about that guy that's in the starting lineup that only played 21 minutes. Only the second time he's played less than 25 minutes in a game. The only other time was against, I believe, Utah when they blew Utah out earlier in the season. That's Mikal Bridges. Bridges, 7 points, 3 for 10 last night. He has been the biggest question mark for the Knicks for the last 2 seasons. Again, I hate bringing up the 5 picks and saying, oh, this is what you traded 5 picks for. But again, when you trade 5 picks, you expect a superstar. Granted, no one thought Mikal Bridges was a superstar, but you expect the performances he gave in Brooklyn. Granted, he's not the number 1 option like he was in Brooklyn, but then you also look at him on the Phoenix Suns when he was a phenomenal role player. And you haven't got that either. You've got inconsistent play from Bridges. Granted, sometimes he'll hit some very big three-pointers, but it feels like a lot of times he's missing those shots more than he's making. Bridges, I think it's a little combination of him playing 21 minutes of Shamet, who feels like Mike Brown. That's his guy off the bench. Shamet is the guy, and I don't blame him. If anyone was going to slide in the starting lineup, I'd like it to be Landry Shamet. Again, Shamet only had, I think, 10 points, and he went 3 for 10 himself, same shooting from the field as Mikal Bridges. And I know Shamet brings defense as well as some offense, but it feels like right now, Mikal Bridges, when he's not having an offensive performance he wants to have, it affects the defense a little bit. And now with Jordan Clarkson back in the lineup, displaying and adding offense to this team, well, there you go. Mikal Bridges, when you're only scoring 7 points a game, or you're scoring 5 points, that's when a Jordan Clarkson's going to get minutes over you because you need to score points to win ball games. And right now, Clarkson is coming in off the bench, igniting a flame on the offensive end. Mikal Bridges, as much as your offense and defense the Knicks love, it's tough when the Knicks aren't scoring for you to be on the court, not being able to hit shots, and sometimes the defense not being up to the standard we expect from you. That's why your minutes are diminishing with Shamet and Clarkson. All right, so for the Knicks, I mean, you look at this team, again, they've won 3 straight. It's like, okay, I'm feeling good about this Knicks. Let me look at the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are only 1 game behind the Celtics for the 2nd seed. Celtics are 4 games behind the Pistons for the number 1 seed. Detroit's kind of had a little bit of a skid as of late. I think the Knicks and Celtics are going to be 2 and 3. Just what order, I'm not sure yet. I think the Celtics, they're still trying to integrate Jason Tatum into the offense. For the Knicks, you got to make sure you are a top 4 seed. I feel confident for the Knicks right now being a top 3 seed. I think there's a very good chance they can get up to that 2 seed. Right now they have I'm looking at it, 2.5 game lead over the Cavaliers for that number 3 seed. Of course, they also own the tiebreaker, so it's more like 3.5 for the Cavaliers because if they end or a 3-game lead, because if they end with the same record, Knicks would own the tiebreaker. So the Cavs have to be 1 better. Cavs have to be 1 better than the Knicks. Excuse me. For the Knicks coming up, I mentioned they have a game against the Pacers at home this time, but the Pacers always seem to rest everybody, and then against the Knicks, they want to go 100% all out, going crazy. It's annoying, but it is what it is. You got to win it because it's a team that is under 500 and looking to lose games instead of win them. After that, you got a game against Brooklyn. Have to beat Brooklyn. Game against Washington. Have to beat them. Game against New Orleans. Got to beat them. Heck, a game against Charlotte. I know Charlotte's been hot throughout this second half of the season. You got to beat them. Like that, there for the Knicks, you have to win those games. Then you got Oklahoma City, Houston, Boston, and Toronto are really the big 4 teams left on your schedule. Big legit threats, I'd say. The Hornets are also on there twice. That one time I just mentioned, and they're the final game of the regular season. So hopefully you have everything wrapped up, and that game doesn't mean all that much. But you never know at this juncture in the season. Either way, the Knicks got to play better. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Got to play better. Got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, which they are. I'd like for it to be a little more convincingly, but it is what it is. Jalen Brunson, get back to form. Cat looking good. All these different things. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about the Knicks, how you're feeling about the New York Knicks. Make sure you subscribe to Backman Sports here and like this video. Hey, I'm Luke Backman. That's all I got. Peace. I'm out.